And guys, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by. We're gonna do a live today. As you guys know, I'm not a big fan of live. I don't know if you guys could hear me or not. So we'll wait for somebody to stop in and just make sure I could. What's up? I heart sushi. Can you hear me good? Just type a quick yes or no. That way I can know if my audio is good. Okay, good guys. Well, we'll let a little time go by just so people could stop by. So today, what I want to do, I wanted to do a live Q&A. I have a lot of you guys out here, and a lot of times I don't get to the questions on time, or it's been a few days after I've posted the videos, and I get to see the questions. So I'm not a big fan of doing live streams, but in this case, I'm going to do one, and I'll be answering you guys' questions. Anything you'd like to know that if I could answer, I'll let you guys know. And in the meanwhile, also, you guys know that I'm not a big fan of the Clive. How's it going? How are you, brother? Sorry I missed the live chat yesterday. Clive, if somebody from here doesn't know you, he does incredible live streams. I don't know your schedule just about, but you do really good live streams. I was watching the one that you did last night with Don, and pretty good one, pretty good ones. What am I wearing today? I'm still wearing the Tissot. And one of the problems I've had with this watch in particular is parts. And that's a big problem I'm encountering right now with vintage watches. The parts are getting harder and harder and harder to come by. I Yes, it's T12, Tissot T12. This watch I've had for over a year, and I bought it as a parts watch. And hello, Oliver, how's it going? Bought it as a parts watch, and I've been building it slowly. But when I bought it, I had to buff the watch because it was just totally gone, and it was missing a pusher right here. I've tried to find that pusher. I've spent so much money trying to find that pusher, and it's just been impossible. So I gave up. I put a crown. The chronograph is functional, but I can't use it because I cannot find that pusher. So on these vintage watches, that's one of the bad parts. Trying to find your parts for them. Selling them without yet. It's going to be going for sale. Probably, if not this week, next week. I'm going to be selling a few of my personal watches now. 601 blue dial, too much. Yeah, for a 1601, 3K is a little bit too much, Clive. Um, I don't like to buy a non-quick set of Rolex for anything over 2 grand. It's got to be in pretty darn nice condition. You know, so like we spoke on the phone yesterday, just in case you got to eBay it, always consider you got to eBay that watch. And if you do have to eBay, consider those fees. So knock those fees off the price right away. Recently found your video, Saragatron, if I'm saying that correct. Thank you for coming aboard. Uh, Thank you, Sir Jen. I'm going to be terrible with the names. I'm going to be terrible pronouncing the names. So forgive me if I butcher them. But I'll try to say it as clearly as possible. And as I was saying with the vintage watches, the parts are getting harder and harder because everybody was buying watches to restore. Everybody was buying these vintage watches for to build them. And geez, the stock for parts on vintage parts, it just got really hard out there. You know. So guys, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll see what I can answer here, and I'm going to be looking at my phone too. Zenith El Primero. I love that watch. I love that watch. It is a beautiful, beautiful watch. I'm going to pull it up on my phone, and any version you buy of it, it's just a beautiful watch with the open heart or with the closed style. It's just a beautiful watch. I'm going to try to pull it up on my phone real quick, and I recommend it. If you could get it for a good price, I recommend Zenith El Primero. Any micro brands I like? That's a hard question. Micro brands, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of micro brands, but um, I I'll tell you what. If it forget about the how can I say this? In micro brands, I would go for price. I would go for price, and that way you won't get hurt. If you could buy something you really like for $200, I mean, why not go for it? I think there's a lot of nice brands out there. Not having to go for micro brands. What do I think about Nomos? Nomos is a great watch. Nomos, when when all of this in-house, out-house, all of this movement started, Nomos was the one that started it. Nomos was one of the first companies out there that made it public. Our watches are made totally in-house. They had a kitchen spoon or a kitchen spatula, and they started saying we got inspired for our second hands out of this kitchen spatula or whatnot. So Nomos is a great brand. Although I made a mistake in one of my videos a long time ago, I thought Nomos was going to be the next big thing. And Nomos right now, even though they're big, they're nice, it is not what I had expected to be. I thought Nomos would be much, much bigger by now, but Rolex dominated the world. So, as you all know, we're in a Rolex. I'm not going to say bubble because we're so far away from a bubble. It's just a Rolex trend that everybody loves. So Nomos kind of walked into that. What do I think about 1960s face super compressor? Um, and let me, if I sound a little bit distracted, forgive me. That's why I don't like to do lives because then I got to read the questions. Why are prices on the why are Rolex prices sky high? They're sky high because you guys buy them all the time. So I mean, they're sky high because of you. I've never, for all the years that I've been buying and selling watches, I have never seen a watch sell for more than what it retailed for until now. So that's why they're sky high, and they're not going to come down anytime soon, as long as we keep paying, double retail for what the watches are. So Hamilton, I love Hamilton. I've loved Hamilton forever and ever. I've been a Hamilton fanboy from the Art Deco eras to when they researched with the khaki and all these new watches. I've always loved Hamilton. Clive, it's all Adrian's fault. No, Clive, it's your fault. Open up that drawer. I think Clive has more than a dozen Rolex in there. So Clive, you're a big Rolex fanboy. I know that for Clive. But the thing I could say about Clive, he loves also his vintage chronographs, and he loves all of the other watches that he collects. Omegas. I know he's a big fan of the Omegas. Give me 1 second. And the Longines, the super compressor, is that the one you're talking about? I like it. I like it in the vintage and I like it in the new. Long Longines is it's one of those brands that it has a lot of heritage. It has a lot of nostalgia attached to it. So anything Longines, I'm gonna like. Um, I started selling a lot of my watches, and I started thinking about what watches to buy. And I want to buy a brand new watch. And one of the watches that I've been thinking about is the Longines, the with all the complications, the chronograph moon dial. That's beautiful, beautiful Longines. So that's one of the watches I really, really like. I like the vintage Winauer one. Would Yes, you like the chronograph with Nauer ones. Those are very nice, and the prices are coming down on those. So Oliver, right now it's if you could get your hands on one, just when buying vintage, just keep in mind the maintenance on there, and keep in mind that the the parts are getting a little bit more scarce out there, so it will cost you a little bit more, not because of the labor, but because of the scarcity of the parts on the vintage watches. So even though I love vintage, collecting vintage watches, be careful with vintage right now. If they're not working very good, if they're not up to specs, be careful because parts, like I said, they're getting expensive, and it's not going to be as cheap as before to fix them. Vintage Movado. Vintage Movado, it's a great watch. I love vintage Movado. I should be wearing a vintage Movado, and I got one upstairs. I'm gonna change to my vintage Movado triple date. They're great watches. I mean, if you open up any watch book, um, they're just the first watch out there is going to be a vintage Movado. You know, they're going to start talking about those right away. Vintage Movados are just great watches. Yeah, right. I also have a wife. You know, there's windows all around this house. There's curtains all around this house. But but yeah, I think that's what keeps you grounded. You know, but um, but yeah, don't take me too serious, guys. This one, Oliver, you should go for it. You should go for it. I have two of them, I think, right now. I gotta check, but I will be getting rid of one of those vintage Movados that I have in stock. So I'm gonna be getting. I opened up the box yesterday and I saw a bunch of watches that I need to get rid of. You know, I have a lot of ladies, gold Omegas, the smaller ones, the teeny ones, so the tiny ones. So I am going to start liquidating a lot of things that I haven't had a chance to start liquidating. Breitling. I'm a Breitling boy. I am a Breitling fanboy. I can't say enough about them. But what they have done with the brand, it's just terrible. What Breitling did with the new Navitimer, it's uncalled for, and they changed everything, and they did it for the worst. I don't think Breitling is going to go anywhere anytime soon. You know, it's just PR Breitling, their new designs. It's just not a very, very good way they're going, direction they're going with their watches. Yes, Oliver, that Movado will be going pretty soon. I haven't been posting a lot on eBay. I've been doing a lot of person-to-person deals. eBay is time consuming. You can't imagine how much time it takes to take pictures, write descriptions, open up the watch, seal it up again, make sure everything is okay. And it's just very, very time consuming. And eBay is a killer with the fees. eBay is just it's it's not a great place to sell a watch because the fees out there will kill you. It's a great way to buy a watch, and and if you're buying, great because you have all the protection working towards you. But as a seller, it's just a bad place. Well, Oliver's telling me that he's doing the $1 promotion. Yes, that's for the listing. I don't pay for a listing fee. I don't pay for initiation fee, but I pay for when it sells. So that's a 13% eBay PayPal fee, 10% eBay, 3% PayPal. So once you take away that 13%, sometimes I work so close on my watches. The only way I could do my NOP, never overpay, is working very, very close on my watch prices. So sometimes my profit is 20%, and when I'm paying 3% or 13%, for that 7% profit, it really doesn't add up. So I try not to do it that much. Okay, do you recommend selling watches and waiting to price drop? And I'm super relaxed. I am super relaxed right now. Um, do I recommend selling watches? Yeah, of course. The majority of us don't have a mountain of cash out there to buy watches. So um, the only way to get to the watches you want is um, flipping watches or buying one, wearing it, enjoying it for a month or two, and then selling it. That's the only way to enjoy a lot of these watches. So, do I recommend selling them? Sure, sure, why not? And if if you don't need to make a profit on that watch, if you bought it for yourself, there's nothing better than to break even or even lose a little bit on the watch. There's nothing bad with it, because if you got to wear it for a month or two and and just enjoy the watch and sell it, and even if you lose 20, 30, $50 on a $600 watch, that's not bad. It's just a stepping stone to get to the next watch, and wearing something nice for a while. Not selling my 69 Speedy. Well, I mean, there's some watches that you're going to get married to, and for a couple of reasons, you're going to marry those watches. You're going to marry them because you bought them and you got raped off on the buy. Like I have my Brighton Super Ocean, and I paid so much for that watch, and I refuse to lose money on that watch. So I'm going to be married, and I'm not going to be selling it anytime soon. And another watch that I might keep forever is just because I simply love that watch. My Omega Constellation Pipe, and that's a watch I love, and I have never even considered selling it. You know, I but then again, we change opinions. I had my Audemars Piguet that I thought I would never sell, and when I needed to free up some cash, and I put everything in front of me, that was one of the watches I said, you know what, it's gonna go, and I listed it for 3-4 days, and it sold really really quick. Okay, Clive, keep my 69 and my 67, sure. Um, Shane Joyce, do you think a good days at boot sales? Boot sales in London are flea markets. Uh, Pass for vintage. Flea markets are still great. Flea markets and antique shop, not antique shops so much, but flea markets and antique shows, where where you get a lot of sellers in one place. It's still a great place to buy anything. Archie selling his world time, or he sold it already? I haven't seen a lot of Archie yet. Buenos dias, maestro. So-called buenos dias. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see a lot of Archie. Um, but his world time, I'm not a fan of that watch, really. I think there's so many other Pateks in the vintage world that a world timer for what they're asking for them. I'm not a big fan, honestly, of that watch. So if he sells it, I think there's much better you could do with 25K than that Patek world time. You know, so thank you for the haircut. Got it yesterday. Well, I don't hate it. I just not a big fan, but I mean, I would buy it. I mean, I would buy it for a solid $12,000. Not for what they go. Do I think it's smart to sell Rolex or Speedmaster now? Honestly, if you have smaller pieces, I would sell the smaller pieces and keep the Rolex at this point and keep them Omega. The Omegas are getting a little bit harder to sell, but I would keep the Rolex because that's the brand that is going to fall at the end. If the watch market, it collapses tomorrow, Rolex is going to be the very last one to do it. It's like if you're in the stock market. I mean, Amazon is going to be the last one to collapse. I mean, it's it's a matter of popularity. Everything's a matter of popularity. So I don't think I don't think Rolex is going to go anywhere. Sell the small. We all have smaller watches that we've bought to fill up the roller, the box. Sell those watches, and keep the Rolex for the end. Rolex are for the past 15, 16, 17 years. Rolex have always been money in the bank, so I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Okay, tips for beginners. Tips for beginners: buy vintage. Buy vintage. Enjoy the watch. Make sure you like the watches, and And once you're sure that this is something you want to do, that this is something you want to invest your time, your money, your energy, then start buying newer pieces that are going to be costing you a little bit more money. That's I started with vintage because that was where we could get a lot of watch for very little money. That's not the case that much anymore, but there's still a lot of great vintage. Waltham with Knowers or a lot of vintage watches that you can get in there and see if it's something you enjoy. Don't go full steam ahead first. Make sure this is something you want to do for the long run, because watches are something for the long run. Let me read another question. Or buy SKX and fall in love. SKX, and anybody could say a lot of things about SKX, but it's a great watch for $150, $160. What are they retailing for right now? I think like about $150, because I saw the Patty for $269 on eBay, brand new. So yeah, that's a great watch. That's a great watch that is not going to hurt the wallet, but just buy one. Just buy one, enjoy it, and if it's something that you don't like, $150, it's not going to hurt anybody. So it's not bad. Well, so-called says that it's not that vintage is not an everyday piece. Yeah, you're right. Even though I wear vintage every single day, most of the time, but honestly, also like you say, if I'm going to go out and do something harsh, I'm putting the Patty on. The Patty is a watch that I know is not going to fail. I know I could do basically anything with the Patty. So in that case, you're right. There's uh, have a new resist a watch in the newer side. I don't know. SKX is it's the best example I could think of. Orient Bambino. I like those. I like those. They have the vintage look to it, so I like the Bambino. I mean, it's a watch that it's not going to hurt you, so why not? It's a beautiful watch. At the end of the day, I mean, goodbye is Lemania or Chisa chronograph for Lemania. Either or, it doesn't matter. I like to see Lemania on my dial also, but Tisa with Lemania, I know that's as close as I'm going to get to a high-end Omega without paying a big price. So that's why I like my T-Sots with Lemania movement in there, because it's just a nostalgic piece to me. It's something that I really love, and Omega being my favorite brand, it's like it's my way of buying an Omega chronograph without all the money involved in buying an Omega chronograph. Patty is good for rice farming. You're right, Clive. You're right. I mean, when I go out farming, that's what I wear. A few weeks ago I was at in Cancun, and that's the watch I wore most every day. The Patty. I went swimming. I did everything with that watch. I went diving. Used it for what it is. I went diving and I used that watch. And I think I only went diving because I had the Patty on, so I had to. Omega Flightmaster, the vintage ones, love them, but they're not for everybody. They're not for everybody. They're big and bulky, so you got to be able to wear that watch. Please tell us your opinion on Breitling Navitimer. I've I've owned them, and as soon as I would buy them, I would sell them. It's I think it's the best thing Breitling ever did, the Navitimer. Um, it's just an incredible watch. Any era you go, I've seen a few fakes, not much. I've seen a few fakes, so it's a watch you don't have to worry about that much. But I love the Navitimer. I have I mean, nothing bad to say about it until the new releases came out. The new releases are just terrible. I don't like talking about other watch channels. No, I don't. I don't. I'll talk about Clive. He's on here, so he could. if I talk good or bad about Clive, he's here to defend himself, and I got nothing to say about him but good things. He's an awesome watch channel. Other watch channels, I do watch Federico. I watch who else do I watch? I watch a bunch of watch channels, but I also watch a bunch of other things on YouTube that I'm interested on, But my view on YouTube, if you have the guts to make a video, if you have the guts to come out here, there's no wrongdoing. It takes a lot of guts to be out here and putting your face out here and just talking to people. I mean, I'm not a great speaker. I like to keep to myself. I'm a great seller though. That I am. I'm a great salesman. So that I have to pat myself on the back. Um, but that's totally different than talking to other people. Let me see. For recommended watching, I recommend watching a lot of guys. Um, let's see, Clive, who's your favorite watch channel other than yourself? It can't be Archie because I know you guys had it out a little bit. Um, Mark, I enjoy a lot Mark Goldberg's channel, um, and people like that. Great channels out here. Well, thank you so much for that, SoCal. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everybody that stops by. And a lot of people tell me your channel should be bigger, and I mean, the only reason I think my channel hasn't gotten a lot of push is because I don't only talk about Rolex. I like Rolex, but I I refuse to only talk about one single brand. I think there's hundreds of brands out there. I think there's hundreds of things to talk about. So that's one thing that I know that holds my channel down. And everybody wants to hear about. Rolex, and I don't really talk about that. I don't only talk about high end. I like to talk about watches that a lot of us could enjoy. I mean, Rolex, even though great brand, I know a lot of people can't afford a five, six, seven, $8,000 watch. I definitely know a lot of people can't afford Pateks or APs. So I like to talk about the watches that will get us there. The watches that are just uh, reasonable for the blue collar working man or the young guy raising a family, and that I was at one point and couldn't afford a lot of these watches out here. So those are the watches that I like to talk about. So that's what I think keeps the channel down a little bit, but I enjoy the growth I'm having. I enjoy everybody, every single follower that or subscriber that I have. I enjoy that. I mean, to me, it's not about growing it to 50, 60, 70,000 subscribers. If it gets there, it gets there, but it'll get there when, by itself and not by selling my soul to the Rolex devil. Fed too. Fed is great. Fed is very knowledgeable. Fed is very, very knowledgeable. I found out that Fed's partner has a channel. I'm the last one to find out. I was watching one of his old videos yesterday, and I think his friend, his partner John, has a channel. I'm going to start watching that today. I just found that out, so I'm going to stop by and start watching him. What else do we have? CRM Jeweler. CRM Jeweler. He's good, but he's strictly high end. CRM. He won't talk about nothing other than AP, Rolex, Patek, and just high end. That's right, so-called. My channel is for the everyday man. CRM is hilarious. I like him. I like him. He never takes those classes off, so that's his style. So he's got a good channel. John is great. I'm going to start watching John today. I'm going to go out in a little bit, but as soon as we come back, I'm going to start watching his channel, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. John says the 1680 is time to buy. You think he's too late? Well, I don't know what I haven't seen the video, so I'm not going to comment. I don't know what price range he's talking about. So until I see it, haha says hello, hello guys. Fitz partner John is rather annoying. I don't think so. I don't think so. Um, I think he's just a simple, nice guy. I mean, what can I say? See, now we started talking about other watch channels, so that's what I was trying to avoid. Fire with mayo, lol. Okay, laughing out loud. Let's laugh out loud, all guys. Guys, I just want to make the small video today because I didn't have a chance to record, and I know I've been falling back on my recordings. Used to watch Leo and Ferris. Very clever, like Clive. Yeah. What can I say? You caught me. You got me there. Any of your kids watch Lovers? Yes. My oldest son, which is 28, he recently bought a Rolex Date off of me, and my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter, she will go into my watch box and she will wear any watch that is 70. All her clothing and everything is like 70 style, so she will wear a watch of mine that goes with that era. Yeah, I'm proud of all my kids. These kids they're incredible kids. When you buy a watch for gold, okay, so when I buy a watch for gold, normally I bought so many of them that I know what they weigh. If I'm buying a round 33, like a round 33 millimeter Hamilton, I know it's going to be 12 pennyweight, but I know it's going to be only 6 pennyweight once you take everything off. So I'm good at guessing. So no, I don't take it apart. And I hate scrapping watches, but sometimes there's just you buy a vintage gold watch, and the only way to get rid of it is to scrap it. Cleaver coin, how's it going, brother? That's one of my other passions. Coins. I got really, really hard into coin collecting and buying bullion. So it distracted me a little bit about watches. I was going in too deep in watches, where the point where when you eat a lot of candy, even though it's delicious, at some point you say just stop with the candy. That was me with watches. I was way too deep into them, where I started to see it more as a job than an enjoyment. So I had to step away, but I still wanted to do something. And coins, that was something that I never understood completely. So I got big into coins. The vintage below double divers, those are the 666s, the 333s. I love those. I had one a long time ago. There's one that looks exactly like the Datejust. I love that watch. And fine one with nice patina. They're incredible watches. I like them. 30 views, only 3 likes. Like I say, this is what I like. This is just spending time. I don't do it for the views. I don't do it for the likes. I just do it for whoever comes aboard. And this is fine for me. Vintage books. I wish I could read. Then I would like vintage books. No, I mean, I like vintage everything. If I were to take you a tour around my house, I don't think there's nothing new in this house. Everything is vintage, and my wife is into vintage, so we like vintage everything. Regards to Toronto. Hopefully you don't get a lot of snow this year, but I know you guys will. So, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to cut this one short, but thank you for stopping by. Thank you for your support. I appreciate what you guys do for me and do for the channel. And I will start recording and uploading a little bit more videos. And guys, I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you for all of those that stopped by. Appreciate it. And I will do a little bit more live. I'm going to invite my friends like Clive, like Mark, or participate in Clive's live streams. I was going to participate in his live stream yesterday, but I got caught up with a client. So I will start if I go into other channels live streams. I will leave a link um, on my channel so you guys can stop out there. Guys, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And thank you so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one.